My name is Alan Downey. I'm a local resident in Baldoyle. Cycle regularly. Have a cargo bike, get the kids around on it, and that kind of thing. I'm also the chairperson of the Fingal Cycling Campaign. Um, this is this is some feedback, I suppose, on the existing cycle infrastructure through Baldoyle along the Grange Road from the Willie Nolan Road up towards the railway bridge. So some proposals out at the moment for some improvements to this. I just want to kind of give local perspective on what's there, maybe what can be watched out for. So this video starts off on the Willie Nolan Road, turning right onto the Grange Road. Um, so this is the usual crossing. I'll just pause there. You can see narrow cycle lane on the left. You've got a bit of a holding area for bicycles at the front, or for cyclists at the front, but often encroached into. You generally kind of held to the left. I'll take because coming through here, I'm going to kind of stay central to kind of keep safe. You get a lot of car drivers who try overtake here and kind of push you off to the left. So for the sake of a couple of seconds where I'm traveling at the same speed as general traffic, I'll stay out here and just keep myself safe. So you're kind of following the bus here. On the right there, you'll just see silver van gone well over the bike box and slowly kind of encroaching onto the pedestrian crossing area. Along here then we've got the existing painted dash lines. You can see there they're not doing much to keep the bus out of that space, while the bus has plenty of space to the right, still hanging in to the left. So kind of not the safest place for someone to be on the bike. You'll often get on weekends and so on, people parking along here, two wheels up on the path, two wheels in the bike lane, cars the full length of it. So you're really left with kind of nothing there, and oftentimes you'd be either cycling out, right in the middle of the road, or you have to walk along the path with the kids. There's kissing gates on the park there, so you can't access the park either. So you don't really have much choice. But even if you wanted to cut through the park, you can't. You're stuck here. So because it's a long stretch with kind of no access points, I'd really like to see something significant here, I suppose, on both sides to prevent the parking, and like there's no access or anything needed for most of it. So kind of roll it forward there. You'll see here the access to the park is on the right. So you've got a car parked there today, which is like kind of an example. See, often the entire length of it's going to be blocked. You can see that they're blocking the bike lane, they're blocking the narrow path, and I think some segregation here, separation, is going to be good for people cycling and people walking in terms of keeping the footpath free. In terms of desire lines, and this is kind of your first desire line here, which is the exit or entrance to Baldoyle Racecourse Park and Castle Ross Housing Estates. So plenty of people coming out here. They've got no crossing point to cross onto the other side of the road. You're kind of halfway between the two entrances to the to Seagrange Park. So people are either going to kind of walk east towards the school entrance, the Willie Nolan entrance, or west towards the kind of Lidl and so on. And they'll usually try and run across at some point, I suppose, once there's a gap in traffic. So ideally there'd be some sort of crossing here, maybe a new entrance into the park as well to really kind of encourage people to cross here and give something safe. This stretch, I suppose, is the longest bit of kind of road along the Grange Road that doesn't have a speed bump. There's a kind of wide sweeping bend onto the Willie Nolan, so you'll often get people, really speeding up here, making it very, very difficult to cross. Kind of continue on then, you've got the first houses on the right, and you can see the wide footpath there, extensively used for additional car parking. This is the middle of the day, so there's not too many around, but often you'd have one outside every house, taking up any available pedestrian kind of walking area, damaging the footpath and so on. Then got the entrance into the park on your left. You got the first bus stop here, two bus stops there. So again, kind of possible intentional crossing point here. The bus stop on this side of the road would rarely be used for people exiting the bus because it's so close to the terminus. So it's mainly used for boarding. On the other side then, the reverse, I suppose. That's the likely spot for people to leave the bus, but very rarely for people to get on the bus. So again, you got the desire line here anyway to for crossing. Either people who've just left the racecourse park trying to get across to get on the bus, and vice versa. Then you kind of all along you've got the housing area on the right, you've got the entrance to the credit union, the U Club on the left, which you know uh, quite a high demand kind of area for people driving in. The Baldoyle Family Resource Centre is at the back as well. So you can see the kind of the layout there. Cars, drivers using that as a kind of holding area, waiting to get across. And kind of again, the entrance is quite wide, so you can take that quite fast. And you might, um, if you're crossing there, if you're walking on the footpath there, it is a footpath. If you're walking along that, you'll often have a car kind of sweeping on top of you or pull out as you're trying to walk across. And there's because it's quite long, it can take a while to get across. It's not really something to kind of look at. Continuing on around, then you hit this point here, the ramp on the bend here. So this ramp has tactile surfaces on either side to kind of indicate this as a pedestrian crossing. It's used as a pedestrian crossing regularly, but there's no signs for motorists to slow down or stop. There is a bulb out on the right hand side. You can see the planter over there. You can see a car parked on it. This bulb out, shortens the crossing. The tactile surface is indicated as a crossing point, and plenty of people use it, but there's nothing there to help them get across. So, and then obviously the very wide footpaths on the right hand side outside the many houses there, extensively used as parking for even for larger vehicles. You'll often see a number of vans parked on here, as well as multiple cars. Continue on around. So this I suppose creates the desire line, but there, again, nothing for it there. There's a couple of entrances pedestrian wise into the youth club and into the racecourse car park. Continuing on around, so there's car parking on the right hand side there inside the cycle lane, extensive along, and that can create challenges for people on the bikes, but it is what it is. As you come up to the exit for Little here, you'll see again it's quite wide. No indication that pedestrians have priority here. You rarely see motorists give pedestrian priority, and you have a need for people to cross here. On the other side, then you'll see that there are cars parked there. There's a number of houses here that can have anything up to 5 or 6 cars parked on the footpath outside. You're coming up then to the first pedestrian crossing in the area. It's outside the school. It's main desire line. It's very good. I think it's in the right place and covers a lot of stuff. On the right hand side, you've got a very wide entrance into the school and the old folks' home, I suppose, in there. Again, pedestrian priority. It is a footpath, but you would rarely see a motorist stop or slow down as they enter or exit that space. So some marking there to indicate what's going on would be very good for safety. You can see on the right hand side there's someone in a white car who's decided to use the footpath area to kind of drive along and I think facilitate a U-turn is what they're up to. So here, look, the road widens out quite a lot here. And this on the left hand side is where you'd see significant kind of parking. So again, we've come quite a bit on the left hand side. There's a number of entrances, but not a huge amount. So really would hope to see segregation all along here. Incorporating some of the desire lines of the bus stops and the entrances, but really going some way to stop the parking on the path and into those bike lanes. You've then got the bus stop here. I suppose not much we can do about that. And some cyclists like myself will go around the buses. Others will wait behind them if they're not as confident to going out into the traffic. And what you're watching out for here, obviously, I suppose, is you don't want to create a situation where people are going up the inside of the bus and conflicting with people getting on and off. It's not something that is going to make any sense. Come around here, understand junction treatments are not up for discussion at this point. This junction is very, very difficult to manage with the way that the entrances and exits are narrow and change kind of width. So again, you have a crossing here. There's no indication that it's pedestrian crossing on either kind of arm of the junction. There's tactile surfaces. There's a little, I can't remember the name of them, but like the holding area in the middle. And it would be good to see better indications here, encouraging people in driving to slow down, allow people to complete their crossing here. But at the moment, anyway, what it is, you've got that kind of wide left turn there. You'll often have somebody maybe speed up and go around. If you're in the bike lane, I'll tend to stay out here just because you go in, it's quite wide. But as you exit this junction, you can see the cycle lane starts to veer into the right. You'll often have people in the cars, already poking out the nose of the car across that junction. Cars coming in, like here, coming towards me, might be coming across the line. So you're running out of space significantly as you come through. And then as you exit here, the road is narrowed down to, it's I don't know the exact width, but it's not wide enough for anyone to kind of share the road here. This needs to, be considered as to how people actually use this space. There's not a lot to it. So you kind of see there how close that car has passed. I think they've got a wheel over the center line as well. You can see how the oncoming car is kind of moving in to accommodate them. You really never see anyone wait here to pass safely. A lot of the cycle lane there on the left is taken up by that guttering, so it's not really safe to cycle in. It's a uneven surface and so on. So positioning wise, you're trying to dodge whatever's there, and you have this kind of behaviour coming up behind you. So although I don't believe that there's much can be done here due to the widths, it really is a dangerous spot. And you'll often have people parked there along the path and so on. You can see someone on the right hand side there giving a demo, parking outside the house and all, pushing the bike out into the middle of the carriageway and taking that space away from them. So again, some of the driveways and so on here on the far enough apart that there might be some accommodation that can be made in between them. There's no, from my own experience, there's no real desire lines across here. The people within the houses that are accessing the bus stops or going to the shops, etc., are following, along their own side of the path until they get to a safer crossing point. There's no urgency to cross here, and you wouldn't often see people coming across. Occasionally at the bus stop, but again, it's close enough to the junction that people will tend to go to the crossing. It's a busy enough road that by the time you get a chance to cross, you may as well have just waited for the green man anyway. So coming up here to Abbey Park and Grange Park Junction, again, kind of deceptive. It starts off quite wide, but then gets very. Okay, so just coming through the junction now. You can see as it starts to narrow. So for whatever way the road is and the houses there, the two on the left stick out a bit, and you get this kind of narrowing and then widen. So it's a bit of a pinch point here. Again, I'd like to see some sort of solution for this, particularly maybe just at the point where the road kind of narrows in. It didn't happen today, but you'll often get when there's a car in front or behind, once they're going to go past it, you'll see that they pull in and would take up kind of half the bike lane as they come through here. They're kind of following their own natural kind of line. They're not staying out following the centre line of the road. They're kind of curving around with this path. So it comes around here, and again, part of the problem here is that you're going to be facing this bus stop right here, just where, since there's nothing on this left-hand side for the next bit, that you'd hope to see some sort of proper segregation, that we don't need to, that there's no entrances to be worried about. But you will have the bus stop here is a little bit further away from the crossing, so the desire line here is a bit of a challenge. Obviously, people are going to want to cross over to the houses over there. You'll also see on the right there, you get there's a right-of-way lane through into Stopolan, so you get a lot of people coming out there. You can see there's a green van regularly parked there, and often a couple more maybe parked closer to that little bollard on the right. So desire line for crossing there, people are coming out of Stopolan. They want to get to the bus stop, they want to get to the train station, they want to get to the shop. They may continue on back behind us towards the traffic lights to cross, but if you're going to the bus stop or you're going to the shop, you're probably not going to take that route. You're going to just get across where you can. So tricky there on the right hand side, lots of houses, lots of entrances. You see lots of footpath parking as well. Not too bad today, but there's plenty of it. on this left-hand side here again, not today, but you'll often see large vehicles parked here. Two wheels on the path. I'll try and get a photo of that to send in. But yeah, it's I feel that it's long and clear. It should be safe, possible to segregate it. I'd say like the final kind of desire line that you're getting this way is probably towards the end of the houses. When you're getting to the garage here, people are needing to cross. There's a little entrance to the industrial estate there, pedestrian entrance. So um, potential for proper pedestrian crossing, but at least acknowledging that if people have been walking up from Stopolan to go to the garage, this is where they're hitting the end of the line. They're going to start to they're going to need to cross. Number of entrances then, and tight road space. You got this large hatching area in the middle to sort of accommodate a right turn, and that narrows the whole carriageway for everyone else. For I'm not sure like what it's accommodating, but it's there anyway. As you're coming through, then hatching gets wider and wider and wider. So again, losing a lot of space, or a lot of available space is being used up to create this right turn lane. You can see here again the bus is encroaching in onto the bike lane, so it's taking up the available space. You've got the entrances to deal with. Bus stop on the right there, and then your right turn lane is appearing. So kind of moving up here through the traffic and onto the lane, you can just see the how narrow it is to accommodate that right turn lane for what amounts to very little traffic, very little road users. There's not, you might see one or two cars on every other sequence turning right in there. You'll often get a lot of them just break the red light and impatient go across anyway. But accommodating this right turn, it's taking up lots of space on everyone else. You're then through onto the bridge. You can see, just the general narrowness of the whole thing to accommodate the right turn lane. I understand there's gonna be a lot of traffic there, so probably not much can be done. But at the end of the day, the space is being used for, it's not keeping people safe, I suppose. Through the bus stop then, and as you're going up the bridge, then you'll see that it's just, the carriageway, the lane itself is quite wide. Everything's quite wide except for the cycle lane. And then just to play that again, as you come into between Fingal and Dublin City Council, you can see that Dublin City Council have given, around about an extra metre of space for the kind of, well, not marked as a cycle lane, so it's a very good purpose of it, and an awful lot more space to go around. So that's the east to west kind of trip. I'll see if I can get the west to east. A couple of other things to mention on it. So thanks. So this is the other way, west to east, coming down the bridge. So this is a different day. It's a bit wet. I have the kids with me, and this is probably more than a normal way we cycle. Anyway, so here we go. Down the bridge, you can see we're starting on the DCC side. First thing you notice, I guess the same as I mentioned on the other side, is that the hard shoulder width is cut in half basically. You're into this pretty narrow kind of lane coming down the bridge. So again, like suggestion here would be that this could be widened, and since there's no entrances or anything along the bridge, that some proper segregation or some kind of hard segregation could be put in and make this a little much more safe. My kid there, he's 7 now. He's very confident, and I'm happy enough to let him cycle, but still be worried about him.
Don't go too fast on the slippy ground, Dean, okay? Watch where you're going.
We come down now. Hit the crossing here. See, it's a big crossing. Again, love to see like a proper Dutch kind of design done on it. But anyway, there's not much that's going to happen now. The industrial estate there's on your right, so it's like the concern with the corner radii. There's no right turn into Baldoyle here for anything over 3.5 tons. So the articulated lorries and anything big should be coming left and going back up the bridge behind me. Nothing should be turning into Baldoyle. Recognise, I suppose, that since the industrial estate roads have been split into three, so you've got the one lane coming in, you've got 2 lanes coming out, one for left turn, one for right turn, and I think the left one, no, sorry, the right one might be. The right one is for continuing straight. Not that many people do, but because it's split into those 3 lanes, there's no room for the radius to be narrowed for those trucks, which is a shame. But obviously with the volumes coming in and out, that has to be a consideration. So anyway, continuing on through Baldoyle then. So I suppose the first thing again on the other side is the bus stops there, the entrances to
Okay, then, yeah.
the garages, the car dealerships, and so on. So obviously
Yeah,
some level of access, but I'm not sure there's major desire lines other than the bus stop to get across the road.
no, fair enough.
And then on the flip side of coming up from the other end is that this part of the road does have access to houses needed, so they'll need obviously to be able to get in and out of their gardens, and I suppose they want to, you know, obviously can't segregate the lane across their driveway or anything like that. But what you do see again here is, cars parked in the lane, either blocking the cycle lane or taking a significant chunk out of the footpath space there. So footpath is now quite narrow because of these two vehicles here on the left.
Oh, I don't know.
Coming down, you can see there's not an awful lot of space then for
Yeah,
people. There's the bollard there into the little laneway on the left. So again, that's where I'd say desire line to get across to that bus stop on my right or back to the shop is going to be. So you're coming down through then again back onto the same junction. This side is a bit better than the other side in terms of space. The road doesn't move in and out; it's just kind of straight through. But again, there's not a huge amount of space in terms of giving extra room to the bike lane. But I suppose with the house and all there, you're still going to have to consider that too. Um, so we come over here, we're going to cross as pedestrians because it's a little bit easier for us, and then continue on down. So you got
okay.
the narrow lane here all the way down through to coming up to Little. Um, Not great surface drains and so on through it. The makeup of this speed bump, I suppose here, it's degraded at this stage. You get quite a significant pothole here, and on the other side as well, you can see it better than on the way up. Um, so issue here around the quality of this bike lane and the space. Again, then as you get into the houses about what you can and can't do. You got the bollards already there to keep people off the path, which is good. Doesn't work, unfortunately. I suppose you'll see a lot of people will simply drive up and go in between them and take up a significant amount of space. I tend to be kind of cautious as I'm coming through here. I'm out of the bike lane, and the reason for that is simply because of as you can see, the white lines there and approaching the crossing island. That the driving lane, the motor lane, gets narrow, pushes people in, so tend to get quite close passes through here. People simply can't wait till after the traffic calm and after the speed bump and will push through. So for my own safety, I'll just be out a little bit wider, and you see there's again significant kind of drains to be watching out for, especially in the wet weather and all that kind of stuff. So go around them then, and you've got the decent, like I mean, the width here is nice. Again, there's no segregation. The houses are a bit further apart, some of the entrances are, so I think there might be some options here. What you are noticing though is that very wide footpath. That's where we earlier saw the white car driving up, and on school mornings and anything else, there could be significant numbers of cars driving up onto that. So, what can be done about it? But suppose if you are taking the, you know, making sure that the bike lane can be used and they can't park in that, they're probably going to drive onto the path and take up that space. Um, Again, just coming across here, across this entrance to the school and the old folks' home. Um, there's no, I mean, it is a footpath, but the kind of the road on the inside doesn't really indicate that they should be given priority to pedestrians coming out here. You'll often get people just kind of swinging in, overtaking me or coming from the other side. I've seen a kid have a bad fall here recently on the way to school one morning and so on. So this is kind of you come through here and you're coming up over this. So here's the reverse of the crossing that we saw earlier. Often there'll be cars parked again up on this. You can see there's one there on the path now, taking the very limited space available. See, there's no curbing here at all. This footpath and road are at exactly the same level. You can see some of the damage here from where people have been driving over that. So often what you'll see here is the right turn into Little. There'll be a bit of a queue for that, and people will simply drive half the car onto the footpath there. So uh, often had the kids walking on here and just find that it's, watching out for a driver coming up onto the path is half of the battle nearly. Um, so you can see the bus kind of passed a little bit close there, but it'd be nice to have, something segregating us away from them. Continuing on down through now, you can see cars are parked there. There's a good bit of space there. It's difficult to see how you could realign it without making a car parking protected bike lane. And I think that's probably a bigger challenge than what the budget's going to allow. Anyway, coming through, you'll see this car here has managed to kind of, I don't know whether they're parking or not, but sometimes you'll see it that they're maybe a foot or two into the bike lane, and then again on the path you can see that cars are parked right up on it, taking up a lot of the space there. Here's one of the larger vans today on the road, which is good to see. Um, Come down around now and see some cars again parked on the path, and obviously understand that with the houses this is probably tricky to handle. But here you come to probably the most significant problem that we see around here is that uh, this is used as handy car parking for Baldoyle Racecourse Park. And this is where, since there's no houses to accommodate, that I'd like to, I think there's really the opportunity to keep this space safe, to keep the cars out of it, while, as I mentioned earlier, accommodating a crossing point for the Desire line here, which is where people are leaving the park. But as it stands now, if you can imagine someone coming out of that park trying to get across this road, their visibility is blocked. They may have a car driving up onto the path as they're coming out. It's all very challenging, and it's a narrow path as it stands. Today there's only three cars, but there could be plenty more. And then I think just the final thing onto the Willie Nolan here, just the turn and the corner radius there. Um, can't see in this video, so I'm going to look for another one where it's more obvious about what's happening, but people often just drive right through this. So even though it can't go all the way to Willie Nolan Road, Bollard or anything here, reduce that radius and do something to make the turn a little bit safer so that you don't have something pulling in top of you would be great. Anyway, that's probably the end of it now, so I think that covers everything you could think of. Thanks a lot for listening.